Hey everyone, checking in on MJ. We're going to cover the major 5 names, then the 3 in Tier 2, the big 3 of the Tier 2. Hexo, TRST, OGI, GTII, making its presence known in the USMJ space, VFF, T-God, and MedMen. So we'll start it off with CGC. Nice continuation. First thing, we saw strong opens, and the high of yesterday, 44.85, broke right at the open, and we saw some decent follow-through. And on the 5-minute time frame, it took a little bit for the bulls to get that momentum going. And actually, I'm thinking of Cron that really took a while to get that momentum going. But we had a nice setup at the start of the day where we have a scenario. We set our low of the day. We set our high of the day. And then as we consolidate, let's look at it on the 2-minute time frame. But during that consolidation, we can say 2 things very clearly. And this is after the first 10 minutes of trading. We can say if we hit a new low of the day, that's a red flag, and we're going to see further consolidation. And if we hit a new high of the day, that's a great sign to hold the temporary low and get follow through. So we saw that new high of the day. That's a sigh of relief for the bulls. And from that point on, that first 10 minutes is always in limbo. Which direction are we going to go from there? And after that first 10 minutes where we got that continuation, we never lost the 5-minute uptrend until this action right here after 1 p.m. Eastern. So that can keep you with the trend on the 5-minute time frame for a significant amount of time, and it was some impressive follow through. So the psychology of what I'm interpreting going on right now in the space is we saw this consolidation on the daily time frame for the last week plus in all the major names as we were heading towards earnings. And that's people, in my opinion, saying, hey, we're way overinflated. We just ran significantly. We don't have any weekly consolidation. Earnings are approaching. We're not anticipating any major good numbers in earnings. And we're thinking that earnings are going to bring things back down to earth. That's the general sentiment as we scout around on social media and see what people are saying and what they're doing. So that is the market pricing in some poor earnings with that pullback. And on a lot of these names, it was a significant pullback of 8 or 10% plus, 10 to 20% really. So we then had ACB earnings come out, and ACB flushed first thing, and then the bulls bought that dip. So from the reaction of ACB earnings, we can say, oh, well, that wasn't too bad. Bulls bought the dip, and we're not seeing a whole lot of selling pressure. And so since then, we see CGC pretty much seeing bulls buying the dip. So my interpretation of the action is that the CGC bulls are looking over and saying, well, that wasn't too bad for ACB. Maybe we can hold up just fine as well. So now they're starting to buy in. And the weekly time frame for CGC is a very healthy bull flag at this point, trying to form their higher low at 41.68. And in my opinion, unless we see a big miss or a big bearish surprise in these earnings, as long as the earnings are just or better, I think that we're going to be able to hold on for now because of this 2-day bull move. So we'll see what the numbers are going to be. Obviously, I have no idea. But on the daily time frame, anything under 47.89 is going to be a lower high. The size of the bounce at this point, we would likely form a higher low compared to 41.68 to try and change this trend. But again, earnings are going to throw that out the window in terms of what kind of reaction we get. So if we look at it on a bit of a longer term time frame, it's the potential setup of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, where this would be our left shoulder, this would be our head, and if we can't break 47.89, that daily resistance, and we pull back to form a 4-hour higher low, this is the 4-hour chart, then that would be the potential for a trend change. Can't break resistance, we consolidate, form a higher low, and then maybe a bull reaction to earnings. Then we're heading back up to the recent high to try and get continuation on the weekly time frame with a clear daily trend change and a clear 4-hour trend change. If, however, it is a bearish reaction, then we're going to be looking right back down at the low of 41.68 and then 40 psychological if that level does break. So overall, if you had a gun to my head and I had to choose, I would be bullish on CGC earnings, but I don't play earnings. It's a gamble, and I'm not a gambler. I'm a trader. I want the odds in my favor, and I'm kidding myself if I think that I have any kind of edge in terms of what any kind of earning reaction is going to be. Cron on the daily time frame. So Cron was one that had a very delayed bullish reaction. It was a lead laggard today. It was the weakest name in terms of seeing any follow through. Anything on the daily under 22.05 is just a lower high for Cron. So that's a must break level. We have a base of support built at 1872, and a 4-hour time frame is tightening up. Obviously, Cron and CGC earnings are going to be the biggest impact here on the sector in the short term. We have our low of the consolidation, high of the initial bounce, held support, and we're going to look for a lower high tomorrow during trading Maybe it's already set, but we're going to look for a lower high compared to 2205 and a tightening 4-hour range that is going to likely break in response to earnings. And the 15-minute time frame had a great setup today that I actually missed, but we had our high, low of the pullback, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, clear equilibrium bull break on increasing bull volume, and the signal was 2018, and we ran all the way up to 2078, a 3% bull move on that 15-minute equilibrium breaking. So that was an awesome equilibrium to be playing. The longer the equilibriums take to play, to draw out and tighten up, the more significant that follow-through is. Look at the volume. Just perfect declining volume. Volume disappears as we get to a point where we say, all right, we know a break is imminent, and then the volume spike with that follow-through. So really nice pattern to get that break on, and that's the kind of break that us day traders, or kind of pattern and setup that us day traders just wait for, because that's all you need. You get one of those a day, your day is made, pack up shop, and wait till tomorrow. APHA, and actually swung APHA overnight, and I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video. So I took profit pre-market in the 930s and pretty much called it a day from there. So I didn't do much trading of MJ today. And anything on the daily chart under 1095 is a lower high. It's a bit of a different setup because APHA does not have this little lower high. You can see every single day is a lower high, and that broke today, but 6 days in a row of lower highs. Cron and CGC is a different setup because it broke that pattern with a bounce attempt, and that's our clear lower high. And I call that a lower high because it's a clear bounce off of a support level. The bulls attempt to change momentum in their favor. They do shift momentum in the short term, and then they reject and get pushed back down. So that's a new clear resistance level. And we have the same thing on CGC as well. Little bounce attempt, broke the high of the previous day, but rejected back down. We don't have that on APHA. So I can't point out a clear daily lower high aside from 1095. I can point out resistance levels, and 989 would be a resistance level that got pushed back down, but it's a little bit different because of that setup on the daily. So it is a pullback right now that has us looking to see if the hourly uptrend is intact, and we just barely held it at the end of the day. 914 is a double low now, and if tomorrow morning, there's two scenarios. We break 914 first thing, it's a bear break that has us looking at 892 and just another daily lower high being set. If we get a bull break of 932 while holding 914, we're looking back at the high of today of 950. So APHA lost a bit of its momentum today. CGC stole the show with momentum because of earnings approaching. There was more volume and focus on Cron and CGC today, and that some of that attention left APHA and ACB. ACB, lower high on the daily, 790. Anything under that is a lower high, and we're certainly likely to set a lower high on this bounce attempt. Couldn't break the high of yesterday, so that's your red flag first thing. If you top out at 742 and then consolidate for the rest of the morning, which is exactly what happened, then you know not to expect much bullish action today. So the hourly time frame, we've got an equilibrium with a low, high of the bounce, higher low at 713, lower high at the high of the day, higher low of 722, lower high of 730, and here we are holding 722 at the end of the day. So 722, 713, 666 are our three clear support levels with resistance of 738, 742, and then 747. Real tight hourly range on ACB to be watching. TLRY, who knows when these earnings are? I've been reading so many different dates. I think they're tomorrow. I think they might be today. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not trading TLRY. If you're trading TLRY, it's up to you to know when earnings are. Daily inside bar, and earnings is going to dictate how this tight range breaks. Pretty much 5 days in a row in a tight range. With a bear break, we're going to be looking in the low 70s. Bear reaction, I should say. And with a bull reaction, we're going to be looking in the low 80s. HEXO. So we have to be careful. We've been pointing out this head and shoulders pattern. This is not the kind of follow through that the tier 2 bull names were looking for after a very solid day yesterday. We got some follow through this morning, but obviously bulls unable to sustain those gains. Left shoulder, head, and watching for the potential of the right shoulder. Have to be cautious. It's not going to be a confirmation of that bearish pattern unless we break this low of 658. But that is a very important support level. You can see 651, 658 will likely break both of those levels at the same time if it does play out that way. What's the hourly uptrend doing? And the hourly uptrend is still intact. Key support is 712. If we break 712 tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the right shoulder potentially being set on this pattern. And in order to try and negate it, bulls have to break 744 for continuation. TRST, also disappointing continuation. Even though we broke 1064 resistance, we only broke it by about 0.5%, and we didn't get much follow through. So the hourly time frame, is the uptrend still intact, is my first question, and the answer is yes. There's a support level down here at 1028. We're holding that. So the question is, can the bulls show up tomorrow, hold 1028, and try and make their way back to 1070? Or are we going to continue this consolidation? There's no red flags. Look at the bull volume on the way up compared to the bear volume during consolidation. Still healthy consolidation at this point. And a loss of the hourly uptrend would look like holding 1035 support, seeing a bounce, setting a lower high tomorrow morning, and then dropping down. So that would be a potential scenario where we lose the hourly uptrend to be watching out for. But if the bulls can turn around and break 1070 tomorrow, they're going to be looking just fine on this hourly time frame. OGI, and also the biggest point is we have to be watching how individual names are going to react to Cron and CGC earnings. That's going to be very important as well, because all of these setups could be completely changed based on how strong that correlation is. So OGI, another name with disappointing follow through. We were looking for a lower high compared to 815 due to the size of the range in this space. Have we lost the hourly uptrend yet? And the answer is by a couple pennies. So this is where, technical analyst discretion comes into play. We did hold a support of 720. Technically, the higher low was 723. We broke it by 3 pennies, but held the support right after it. So I'm calling that still holding the hourly uptrend. In order to lose the hourly uptrend, we're going to have to bounce, be unable to break 767, and then roll over and lose 720 support. If that happens, we are going to have a daily equilibrium. So lose the hourly uptrend, and our daily lower high will be set, and then we're going to look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 657 and watch this range tighten up into next week. GTII is perfection follow through for the bulls. If we had broken 1824 resistance by 6 pennies and then consolidated today, it would be a pretty lackluster bull break. But we have a bull gap up open and significant follow through. That gives us the clear weekly trend change now, well over the resistance of 1824. We have the daily time frame still extended, absolutely, but if you're in a position, the bulls are very comfortable. 20 and 2158 are the next levels, and the hourly higher low of support for the bulls to maintain is 1827. Very strong name, leader in the U.S. space right now as far as the technical charts are concerned. VFF is playing out exactly as anticipated with our tightening 4-hour range. Question we have into tomorrow is, has our lower high been set at 934? If tomorrow morning, if we break $9, then we'll say yes, our 4-hour lower high is set, and we're going to look for the higher low compared to 825. I'm anticipating most likely scenario is going to be a pullback to the mid $8 range tomorrow, and then a break of this 4-hour equilibrium on Friday. We'll see how it goes. The bulls could break 948 to get a bull break, but that's a less likely scenario in my opinion. We'll see how it plays out. N, daily inside bar, trying to recover from all this drama and bearish action and not doing a great job of it at this point. Saying the most clear hourly resistance is 107, support is 101 and 98. Daily inside bar, break of 101 would be a bearish start to tomorrow, and a break of 98 would confirm that follow through that keeps the bears in control and has us looking down at recent support. Again, the weekly time frame for N is being ruined a bit in terms of ideal. Again, if you want a textbook weekly time frame, it's GTII. Any Canadian MJ name, any US MJ name, you want to see your weekly chart do this. Healthy consolidation, continuation, confirm the trend change. And you look at a name like N and you look at the weekly chart and say, wow, that's not really going to happen here because of that gap down and because of the sustained weakness at this point. So any of these names, ACB, APHA, anybody, want the weekly higher low and then continuation to confirm follow through and that trend change. TGOD, very strong close, key resistance of 360, going to be tested first thing tomorrow. If we break the daily lower high pattern, that tells us the weekly higher low has been set. So here's a name that's very healthy weekly consolidation and hoping that 306 is our weekly higher low, and we have to break 432 to confirm the trend change and follow the lead of GTII in terms of a beautiful bullish weekly chart. So if we cannot break 360, we're going to look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 306 and then give it another shot. That's where the inverse head and shoulders setup comes in. So look at the 4-hour time frame. This would be our left shoulder, our head. If we cannot break 360, we look for the higher low, and then the bulls are going to give it another shot. If we do break 360 tomorrow morning, then we break the daily lower high pattern. We still need the higher low and higher high to confirm the daily trend change after that happens, but it's going to increase odds. If we break 360 before pulling back, the odds that the daily trend will confirm are going to increase, as opposed to if we reject from 360 and just consolidate. So very nice shift in momentum going on. Pretty healthy weekly consolidation. And let's see if these bulls can change this daily trend over the next week to have us looking back up at 390 and 432 resistances. MedMen trying to bounce on the daily. Anything under 412 is just a lower high. Not a very impressive bounce at this point. Declining bull volume. And on the hourly, if we lose the uptrend, we'll say our daily lower high has been set. Key support of 376 and 375, a little double low. So those are the most important short-term supports. And key resistance, it's actually $4, which was previous support, now resistance. $4 and then 412. Not expecting a daily trend change on MedMen on this bounce. We are expecting a daily lower high, and then we'll have to pull back and form a higher low compared to 360. That's where we stand on everything. All about CGC and Cron earnings into tomorrow. Watching how individual names react to those earnings. And it's nice to see that we have so many names in these sectors now, that we have everybody in all different stages of their patterns. Some names are seeing weekly consolidation. Some names are seeing weekly continuation. And that's ideal for traders to at least be able to bounce around and always have different things to be looking at. When you're seeing everybody doing the same thing, it's almost like your options are limited, obviously. So I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Time to do a good thing. And time to watch some pelicans dive for some fish.